So I'm going to show you a couple other things that I've been doing, some little short videos. I'll throw it all together just so you can kind of see where it is. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to run it possibly tomorrow. Okay, you might remember my Fender kind of save, and I welded these in. I had used these original holes to line this back up, and somehow or another that isn't right. So the holes are actually off by about 1/2 inch on the frame. So I should have known better. I did this on my last Jeep. I took this brace and I mounted the whole fender first, and then I welded that in, took it off and finished it. So I have to do the same thing on this one. The other fender came out good. That's actually mounted, all the bolts are in. It looks pretty flat and square. I still have a little body work to do on it to finish it up, but this one came out very nice. I guess my recommendation would be, don't put these in till you've mounted the fender. You know, you've got the bolts there and there. Get them bolted, get it correct on the step right there, and then tack weld that in, take the fender back off and finish it up. All right, so right here you can see how much it was off. And now the fender is bolted on nice. The seam should come in pretty well. It's pretty level across. I gotta bring this down a little bit, but that's gonna happen when I finish that little bit that I never did. So anyway, thought I would show you maybe the better way to do this to make sure everything lines up. Another beautiful day out, but I thought I'd show you. I am trying to finish up the little bit of body work to do on the fenders. So I took my tub cart that I made, put a couple of 2x4s straight up, and then bolt it on the fenders where they, this way I can get to them all the way around for paint and for the little bit of body work. So just touching up some of where the welds were, where some of the little seams were. If you watched the video on it, you know these fenders were pretty rough to start with, and so kind of saved them from the junkyard. I think they're gonna work out pretty good for what we're doing here. Like I say, I kind of got everything squared up, already put them on the Jeep and made sure everything fit. So gonna get this sanded down and then finish getting these painted so they can go back on the Jeep, because things are going back together. Well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the inside of the cylinder walls look pretty good on this motor. I'm pretty sure this motor has been redone, and I'll show you why. If you look on this set of rod caps, it's got those little lock nuts on them, and those are put on one direction. On the next one, let's see where we at, there we go. They are put on the correct way. The next one, the correct way, and this one, completely different. Just a locking nut, not the little lock, the second lock nut. So I'm pretty sure that this motor has been gone through at some point, and so I am going to go through and just kind of check some of the torque specs, make sure it looks good. I cleaned the pan gasket off. The inside of the motor, again, oops, let me see if I can get this right so you can see. Looks pretty clean. That is not bad at all. And it does also have rubber seals back here. Now I'm not 100% sure on 53s if they would have had the rubber or the like that rope. But anyway, just thought I would show you that, what things look like. And there, of course, that's the new gasket I put in. Okay, here is the oil pan. Now the reason I took this off is because the skid plate had got snagged, somehow bent, and it was only holding on by one spot weld. So I popped it off. It does not leak, which is a good thing, but I thought we would go ahead and do a little bit of looking. I don't see anything hideous yet. A few sharp spots in the bottom there, ouch. So I'm gonna clean this real good and we'll take another look at it. With a little bit of scrubbing and cleaning, got the oil pan all cleaned out. Looks to be in good condition. You can see where some of the spot welds were that held the oil pan on, or excuse me, the skid plate to the oil pan. So I got just a little bit more cleaning, and then I got to see what kind of bend I have to do to get this thing to fit just right. So definitely a little bit bent. I'm hoping I can just get it straightened out. And then what I'm gonna do is drill it in a few spots and then plug weld it. So that is the plan. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so here is the skid plate. I just drilled some holes. I cleaned up underneath. I've got holes, and I'm just gonna push down and plug weld and get that sitting back on there nice and tight. I am gonna treat this before I put it together with some of that Oshpo, and we'll see how that stuff reacts with welds. But that is the oil pan, and it should hopefully be back together. I'll clean this up a little bit more before I put it on with the wire wheel, just to get it so it's good for paint. So 6 big heavy plug welds in it. The whole thing has been treated top and bottom. Sorry, that's going to be pretty bad with the window there. So I am just getting ready to put some paint on this. Okay, so the pan came out pretty nice. And I also did the little guard for the belts and pulleys. So I'm going to get this all put back on with a new gasket. One thing to always do, I took this off, put a new gasket on, kind of cleaned it out and made sure that there was nothing debris-wise in the pickup filter. Okay, so here is the new gasket in place. I'll grab a couple of bolts and get it started. Pan is all back on. All the bolts are in. Oop, actually, just remembered. That one is different size and I forgot to tighten it. Okay. And here's a little something. Pay attention to how you put the bolts in. That one I had to take out to get it the pan on and then put it back in afterwards because the skid plate blocks it the other way. So there's lots of little things to pay attention to when taking these apart. Working on the rims for the 3B. So you can see I got 5 16-inch rims. Now granted the 3B is supposed to have 15s, but I don't have a complete set of 15s. So these are all fairly close. The rim height is the exact same on 4 of them. This one is a 1/2 inch bigger. So that is a little bit different rim. The faces of them are all basically this style right here, except for this one. If you look, you see this is all flat. Let me try to get out of the shadows. So it's all flat around them, whereas this one has got little nubs by each stud. So that is going to be probably my spare. I would make that the spare, but I figure that one will be less noticeable on the back. I got a guy that's going to be looking for some rims for me, so hopefully I can score a couple more that are correct. But for now, I'm just going to get these all cleaned up and painted, and that way I have a complete set so that tires can get ordered fairly soon. So you can see I'm just taking the old wire wheel, grinding it down, taking off as much as I can. I'm going to treat all of the insides with the Oshpo to neutralize the rust, and then I'm going to, well, first I'm actually going to strip all the paint I can off the fronts. So I'm going to be applying some stripper to that here in just a minute, and this is getting long, so I'll just show you what I'm doing. Okay, so the paint stripper is working nicely. I don't think I'm supposed to be doing it out in the sun, but I didn't want to do it in the shop. So as always, I'm using the old Clean Strip aircraft paint remover. I really feel like this is like the best stuff. I really like it. It's always worked. It always lifts the paint really good for me. So hopefully I can get this little layer scraped, put another application on. These rims are so rusty there's almost no paint left. So we'll see how these clean up with the wire wheel. But once I get all the paint off, then the plan is power wash these, let them sit out here and dry, and then I'll paint them a little bit later. There we go. Okay. And so there is the pinstripe thickness as well. So the pinstripe is, as I mentioned, about 1 inch to the outside of the pinstripe, I would say, and then about 3/16. So the rims are all painted the same color as the body. Here's that repair that I did on the hole for the valve stem. So I filled the whole thing in and then just drilled a fresh hole. So there's the valve stems. I'm just waiting for some sealant to put on the valve stems before I install them. So that is how the rims came out. Hopefully we'll have tires fairly soon. I want to get everything else done and working before I buy the tires, just so I know that I'm ready to go, and then we'll pick up the new tires for it.